So he's gonna present here?
Yeah.
Yes.
This
That's the
will
updated
in
version.
the last one because just have four.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, it's
So-
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's the workshop chef of
Yes,
the other
it's
ones.
mine. Ah, because it is leaving today. And he was in my session. He is in my
But this is
session.
G, yes, but we are at H, right?
Yes, because he's at Q, and he leaves today.
Yes.
And I
Okay,
have
that's my accent.
I stopped with Osvaldo. And
Yeah, she told me everything's
okay,
fine.
so thank
So
you
you're
very
gonna
much.
present?
I can present him.
Or
yes.
yeah, okay,
Okay, thank you
okay.
very much.
Yes, so we can start. So where is our? Yeah, we already have it. So I think we can start with the first presentation, and also Bitcoin trends through the integration of on-chain financial indicators and machine learning.
This is me.
You ready?
So, let's get it back here.
Okay, thank you, Arthur.
Well, can I start?
Yes, you can start. We can hear you and see your
Okay.
screen share.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, my name is Arthur Bubbles, and I'm briefly presenting my work titled Bitcoin Trend Analysis through the Integration of On-Chain and Financial Indicators with Machine Learning, with the advisor Bruno Dalmaso and co-supervisor Thiago Teixeira. So, this presentation is divided into the following sections, like the introduction, theoretical foundation, related work, methodology that we use, and results and final conclusions. So, in the first section about the introduction, it's about the cryptocurrency market. The first point we are actually trying to work with, it's the high volatile and that challenge of making short-term forecasting. And while many studies focus on historical or on-chain data, few actually integrate both perspectives. Our proposal is to combine structural blockchain data with classical and financial indicators such as RSI and Rainbow Chart. So use machine learning models to classify short-term trends. And about the theoretical from the background, we review how crypto assets work and the decentralized logic of blockchain and common financial indicators such as a moving average and RSI. We also highlight supervised and machine learning, especially binary classification, which is the core of our predictive model. And above the technical and financial indicators, we focusing on RSI and mostly like rainbow chart and the on-chain analysis. Like we extract the main transactions of blockchain and registrations to use as parameters for machine learning training models. So we kind of focusing on classification model to predict the trends itself, not exactly the closing price, but the movement of the market we focusing on. And about the related work, this is the our works we searched for and the main characteristics that they presented, like use technical data, textual data, regressive approach or classification, short-term and long-term forecast, traditional machine learning algorithms like random forest or linear regression for classification or a regressive approach, and deep learning and reinforcement learning. We have this kind of characteristics. So about the data collection and preparation, was sorry, was collecting on-chain data such as transaction volume, minimal difficulty, and number of blocks, like financial data like prices of open, close, high, and minimum values of the day, and being adapting this to the rainbow shark indicator, the development in testing machine learning models. So this is our diagram of our conceptual model that we extract on-chain data, financial history, and the base indicator like rainbow shark. Uh, we focusing on getting the rainbow shark indication to make a more accurate prediction based on that. Like we have a region that the base indicator sends to us, and we kind of adapt it with all our other data to make it more precisely. So about the on-chain data, we have these kind of values or features right here that, like for example, weighted mean means the average transaction weight in blocks related to space efficiency. Difficulty mean average mining difficult, higher values mean more competition and more secure network. The reward mean it's the average mining rewards, including both new bitcoins and transaction fees. Transaction sum, total values transacted of the network that day, reflecting economical activity. Witness sum, it's the sum of witness data in sec with transactions, and indicator of space optimization and security. Input and output sum means the total and output values of transactions have to track the capital flow. Fee total sum, it's the sum of all fees paid, higher values, indicating a network congestion. And total blocks, it's the total number of blocks mined during that period in reflecting the network activity. So, and about the financial data, it's mostly like the market opening and closing values and market capitalization, the market cap itself. About the transaction volume, we found this is specifically important for our model because we observed that high volumes occurrence means to more accurate, more safety predictions, if I could say like that, and the RSI to show us the main cues of the market. So about the testing comparisons, first we about our dependent variable was based on the difference between opening and closing price after n days we tested like in other slide I will show you, but it's about we use it 3, 7, and 14 days mostly to make our tests. And our variables were like one for the bullish, if closing price was higher than the opening price of that end days, and 0 for bearish, like the fall, if closing price was the same or less of opening price. So about the rainbow chart indicator analysis, it's we identify the market classes over the time and frequency of each class analyzed in different periods, reducing redundancy and eliminating repeated values to and calculating the median of the occurrence of a class indication to normalize all data. We use it like a window sized technique of min-max scaling. We choose it about 28 days of that moving window, applying min-max scaling to that 28 days to 28 days like this. And we choose it min-max scaling because the data we used didn't have any negative values, so we find it's more useful to use min-maxing scaling technique. So the description of feature preparations, we try to forecast time frames like 3, 7, and 14 days. The using a full normalization of min-maxing scaling, using all database without the window technique, and with the window technique itself, and using the cross-validation method with machine learning algorithms to show it was correct or not. And then we have like these results of accuracy mean of the cross-validation in 7, and 14 days. And window, it's the methods that use the window technique, and comp, it's like the complete method. And we see that logistic regression used to have a really good value of results. And for our final model, we use it like an ensemble, composing with SEM, radio impulsion, and NLP, that we can see right here, get the mostly better results with 14 days. We used to see better results, but we tried to use different algorithms that could work in different ways, but complement each other. So the choice of algorithm was that, and the technique we used to combine was voting hard, the majority vote, and the objective was like that: use the best of each one to make a more trustable prediction. And this one was the final confusion matrix we used to have it in our model, and we can see it had a really good result. We can kind of get satisfied with that, and we think about the conclusions that the study contribution was to develop a robust predictive model and on-chain and financial data integration with new perspectives of crypto assets analysis. So we expect the impact of improvement in investment decision making and advances in interface between blockchain technology and traditional finance. So this is my presentation, and I will thank you all.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Let me ask you about the comparison of your results related to the other studies in the literature. Were the findings statistically comparable to any of them?
Yes, we kind of get a really good result, and a really I can show it right here. And we find it really relevant and comparable to other studies, and get a kind of satisfaction with the our methods used and the other studies we find.
Okay, so these are your accuracy results, right? Mean accuracies.
Yes.
Yes. I was asking, like, what are the average accuracy levels in other studies, like 70% or around that range, or a little bit lower or higher?
Had a kind of really far gap, but we're mostly like 70%, like us in that way. And but some studies do use the more more. I mean, a less registration data set, a smaller data set of the study. So we find that could affect the result itself of the models of some studies, like not all of that, but mostly like 70% of accuracy kind of series that use on-chain data.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation again. Any other questions? Also, we can get online questions if any of the online participants have. I guess no. So we can continue with the next presentation.
Thank you so much.
Who is going to present the first?
I think it's me.
Yes. So the name of your presentation is an end-to-end computer vision system for structured information extraction from Turkish ID card images. Okay.
Yes.
Safe Kazamel, you can share your screen, please.
Okay. So can you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Just 1 second. Screen share. Screen.
Okay, we can see your screen.
Very good.
Yes, you can start.
So I'd like to present our paper, an end-to-end computer vision system for structured information extraction from Turkish ID cards. The project was done by me and my co-authors, Umut Kocasoru and Ali Alıcı. So first, let's go over the outline of the presentation. So first, I'm going to talk about the what is the problem we are trying to solve and why we are trying to solve it, and then some of the technical challenges that we have to overcome, and then the system that we developed, and finally the results and the conclusion. So the problem we're trying to solve is automating the process of extracting information from ID cards and verifying those ID cards. So this is a process that is done in many online businesses where they ask some of their users for ID cards for identity verification purposes. When it's done manually, it's slow, and with large amounts of cards or of ID cards, it becomes costly. So our aim is to make an accurate and fast and in-house system that will help us to save labor time and also will help us not we want to do that without exposing this data to third parties. So the system that's why we are doing the system in-house. So some of the technical challenges we face. So this is a representation of an ID card that has some of the problems that sometimes come. Some images. So we asked. We did the project in our company, Armut Technology, where we asked some of our users to take a picture of their IDs, and some of the photos come with some blur. Some of them come with glare, and these, of course, make the task a bit harder. But also some of the images we receive are not images of IDs or images of other IDs that we do not want. Like we do not want a passport, we just want an ID card. So first we need to detect whether it's the kind of document we want or not. Also, sometimes the picture is sideways or upside down, so we have to correct the orientation of the card. And there are an old type ID card and a new type in Turkey. So we have to be able to process both of them. And finally, we have to extract the key information we need from the card. We just need 4 fields: the the ID number, the name and surname, and the date of birth. And then we have to perform OCR and verify the output data that we got, verify that it's of an valid ID. So this is a like a general overview of the pipeline we developed. So first we classify whether the image is of an ID card that we want. Then we localize the card in the image and we crop it. And then we classify whether it's of the old format or the new format. Then we reorient it if it is sideways or upside down. And then we detect all the text on the card, and then we take only the text in the 4 fields that we that are relevant to us, and then use OCR to take the text out of those fields, and finally verify the data that we extracted. So I'm going to go over these steps in a little more detail. So for deciding on whether whether the image is of an ID card or not, we use CLIP, which is a model that basically calculates the similarity between an image and its description, and the the advantage is that it's like we didn't have to train a new model. We can just use it zero shot. So we give it the image we have, and then we give it different descriptions. And if the description, like we feed that into the model, and if the description, if the correct description has the highest probability, then it's a photo of the ID card. After that, we localize or detect the place of the ID card in the image and crop it. And here we use the YOLO V5 object detection model. And next we classify if the card we have is of the new format or the old one. And for that, we also did not train a model from scratch, but rather we used the CLIP model again to calculate the embeddings of a 1,000 ID cards, 500 from the old format and 500 from the new format. And then when we receive a new card that we want to classify, we just calculate its CLIP embedding and calculate and look at the nearest neighbors. compared to other embeddings. So if its nearest neighbors are of the old format, then the current card is also of the old format, and if its nearest neighbors are have the new format, then it's new format. And this also saves us from basically training like a model from scratch. We just use a ready-made one. Here we wanted to check if the image is sideways or upside down and correct it. And for that we used a feature of the ID that it is a photo ID. So each ID card has a photo of the person, and so we use a like a face detection model, a single box single shot multi box detector, and we feed it the card in the four orientations, and when it detects the face with the highest score, then we consider that the correct orientation. Again, without training a model from scratch, saving development time. And then to detect the text on the cards and to detect the relevant fields that we want, we use first craft and UNet, and I will show you how. So craft gives us bounding boxes and also gives us the text region maps. So with craft we get the text region maps, which is this blue green map, and we get the bounding boxes. We feed this text map to UNet, and then UNet segments it's better to explain it here. So we feed this on the left to UNet, and then UNet gives us the segmentation map of the four fields that we want on the right. That's how we trained it. And so after feeding it to UNet, we get only the four fields that we want. And we intersect that with the bounding boxes. And then we get the four bounding boxes that we want. Of course, sometimes Click gives us more than four bounding boxes, especially on the date part. For example, it detected the year as a separate text and the day and month as a separate text. We combine those into one box. After that, we get the four pieces of information that we want, and we feed them into the Tesseract OCR model, and we feed them to the model with different how can I say parameters, and we vote between them to get the correct output. And once we got the information we want, we the population registry has exposed an API, a SOAP API that we can call and feed with the information of any citizen, and the API returns if it is an information of a valid ID or not. So after we get the information, we check if it's valid or not, and if it's valid, then we save it in our database and we consider the ID verification successful. And if it's not, then it goes for a manual review. So regarding the results, so each step has its accuracy and result, and we can focus on the last three lines. So for the OCR, the probability to get all four fields correctly is 80%. So if we feed about 100 cards, 80 of them will get the four pieces of information correctly. And for the end-to-end pipeline, we have an accuracy of about 73%, and the processing time is less than 5 seconds. So it's near real time, and the 73% accuracy is on the same level as the other papers in the literature. But it's hard to compare because other papers, like some of them take only, let's say, 3 fields, and we have to take 4 fields. So the accuracy comparison is a bit like comparing apples to oranges, but nevertheless, it's on the same level. So finally, we developed a system that is in-house and hence privacy preserving and performs near real-time ID information extraction and verification, and there is no outflow of data, and it's modular, so we can swap any of the modules we have for better performance, and it is currently used in production, and it is verified that it does save labor hours. So in the future, there are several, let's say, directions for improvement. First, we can increase the OCR performance. We can, which can be done by active learning, and we can increase the speed of the processing even more. And the third direction can be handling diverse, more different documents. Also, this project was concluded about a year ago. So currently, the vision language models came out, and we also would like to see if using them increases accuracy and gives us better, like a simpler pipeline, let's say. So that is it, and thank you for listening. And if you have questions, I would love to answer.
Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any questions? Yes, we have one question. Just a second. Can you hear me? All right. I think it's better if you come a little closer. maybe over here.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have so many questions. I'll try to say it all. Maybe you said before, what about the data sets for training? And I have a question about privacy. It's like from where you got this license and you didn't have any problem with privacy, but these days it's hard. And also, you had overall accuracy in your model. How you calculate the overall accuracy of your model? It's like, is it the average of everything or all the last step or something? Like how you calculate it? And last thing, you probably say it, and if you can repeat it, yeah, like comparison with other things that already applied in the world. Like there's none, or your pipeline is new, or like how others do like some comparison.
Mm-hmm. So those are a lot of questions. I'm trying to remember the first one.
Privacy and how which data sets.
Yes. Okay. The training for the components that needed training, we usually had about 500 IDs with the old format and 500 IDs with the new format, and we manually labeled them and trained the models that way. But the majority of the steps we used like zero-shot models. We did not need to train anything. For the accuracy, we like here there is the accuracy of steps independently from each other, and but the end-to-end pipeline accuracy is the whole process from start to end, and it is. And it's not written here, but it's written in the paper. It is similar at similar levels to other papers in the literature. So again, like some papers do not report the end-to-end accuracy, and some paper just like so. It's not easy to compare. But for the papers that reported the end-to-end accuracy,
But
they
I'm
are.
sorry, how you calculate it? It's like, what is it? It's the accuracy end-to-end pipeline. Is the average of all the above, or it's like it's not the average by numbers, but like you have the end of your pipeline. If it's true, so you have it true. If it's correct, so you have fault, and this is how you calculate the accuracy. So it's in the end, or how?
So the accuracy is if the four fields are the same, like if the four pieces of data that come out of the card are the same as they are in the card. So that's the accuracy we have.
Okay, so I think you use a data set which is not publicly available. Did you how did you collect those 500 new IDs and 500 old IDs, like from your colleagues, friends, family members, etc.?
So it's a project done in a company for the company, which like the company where I work. So the company
provided you those IDs?
Has those IDs, yes.
Okay.
And the process was manual, so there was a manual ID verification process, and we automated this process in the company basically.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. But you also said that in a previous study there was a comparison, and which has similar results accuracy level wise, right, to your study?
Yes.
So
yes,
did they use also a public data set? Maybe you could have used that data set also for comparison?
They did not use a public data set, and like.
So none of the related work uses a public one? No?
No. because ID cards are like highly sensitive, so
Yeah. But maybe there were like other international studies. This is for Turkish ID cards, but maybe old studies, maybe a little bit older. I don't know. That's why I asked, but I guess not.
I
Okay.
see. And also our pipeline works for Turkish ID cards but not others. So it would be we would need a study on Turkish ID cards for that to do that.
Okay, thank you. So one last question. I've seen on one of the slides that you used YOLO version 5. Why
Yes.
did you use this? Because there are like newer versions available.
Probably there are better options, but at the time we went with version 5. So it's a little bit like we started it about maybe 2 years ago.
Okay, it's because of the time the study was conducted. Maybe you can use newer versions and achieve better accuracy levels. Just a suggestion.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. So we can continue with the next presentations. Thank you so much. It's called Designing and Evaluating Heterogeneous Ensembles for Blood Glucose Level Forecasting. So,
Yes, hello.
hello.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your screen also. You can start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Mamoun Ben Aida, and I'm delighted to present our research titled Designing and Evaluating Heterogeneous Ensembles for Blood Glucose Level Forecasting. This work is made by with Professor Ibtisam Abnan and Professor Ali Idri at Mohammed V University in Rabat, Morocco. So let's begin by briefly outlining what this presentation will cover. This presentation is structured into 5 parts. First, we will set the context and explain the motivation behind our research. Then we will walk through the experimental design, followed by the results and the discussion of their applications. And finally, we will conclude by summarizing the key findings and proposing future directions. So, the growing prevalence of type 1 diabetes mellitus, particularly among children, demand better tools for managing the disease. And maintaining stable glucose levels is something that critical, and extremes can be life-threatening. So forecasting blood glucose level help patients and doctors anticipate to change and respond proactively. It fosters the autonomy, safety, and the better quality of life. For that, the continuous glucose monitoring device and below this an example in the future of this CGM sensor. This device have revolutionized the diabetes management. They provide glucose reading every 5 minutes, offering real-time visibility into the body's glucose trends. So this data-rich environment is ideal for a machine learning approach to predictions, enabling smarter lifestyle and insulin adjustment. So let's move to the motivation and the research gap. Many classical machine learning models like ARIMA fall short when dealing with the complex nonlinear and also multivariate time series data. And the nature of glucose regulation. This motivates our exploration of ensemble models, particularly heterogeneous one, which can better capture variability by leveraging the strengths of diverse predictions. Despite their promise, Few studies have deeply evaluated these approaches in the context of blood glucose level forecasting. So, to guide our work, we formulated the 4 research questions. We asked whether any single predictive model consistently performed best, and whether a particular heterogeneous ensemble stands out. And we also assess how ensembles compare to their base models, and finally, how various optimization techniques influence performances. In response to these questions, our contributions are fourfold. We evaluate the 5 distinct machine learning and deep learning models. We build and test heterogeneous ensembles using multiple fusions rule. We optimize models using 3 techniques: random search, Bayesian optimization, and particle swarm optimization. And we assess performance across 4 performance criteria. Complemented by statistical validation through the Scott-Knott test and word account voting method. The single model we selected included both classical and deep learning techniques, and this choice of models of these single models was made based on our latest studies on BGL forecasting. So we used the first SVR, which stands for support vector regression, is well known for its effectiveness in high dimensional settings. DBN, which stands for Deep Belief Network, offer hierarchical feature learning using a second restricted Boltzmann machine. CNN and LSTM are standard for sequential data nowadays. And also we use the GLU, offering a lighter alternative to an LSTM. This diversity of models ensure that our ensembles draw from a broad performance basis. For the optimization techniques, to ensure fair comparison, each model underwent hyperparameter tuning using 3 strategies, as I said before: random search as a baseline, Bayesian optimization that use a probabilistic model to guide the search, and finally we use the particle swarm optimization, ASO, that draw inspiration from swarm intelligence. This method were applied both to single models and to ensemble combinations. For the used dataset, we use the DirectNet dataset, which is public, which include continuous glucose monitoring data from 110 children aged 3 to 17 years with the type 1 diabetic mellitus. The measurements were taken every 5 minutes. You can see them in the figure. This is a random chosen patients yielding resolution time series. After cleaning, we retained 108 patients recorded with sufficient data for robust training and evaluation. So our performance metrics in our evaluation framework, we included the root mean square error, which penalize large errors. We used the mean absolute error for average deviation. We used also MMRE, the mean magnitude relative error for relative accuracy and predictive level. And we used the P level at 25, which indicates the proportion of prediction within a 25% margin of error. Together, these metrics offer a comprehensive view of model performance. For the significance test, to make meaningful our comparison, we employed statistical tests also. The Scott-Knott test was used to group models based on their significant difference in the term of their mean of RMSE, root mean square error. While the board account voting method aggregates ranking across all metrics, the MIE, MMRE, and PRED. These tools help us to ensure our conclusion are not only based on numerical but also on statistical reliable. For the framework architecture, there is an overview. We use the 7-step framework from the pre-processing to the model comparison. We use the PSO, RS, BO for optimization. Again, and finally, assess performance using all our full set of metrics and statistical tools. And the 3 ensemble fusion strategies were explored using the average, which stands for AV, and ME for the median, and IR stands for inverse ranked weighted mean. And the evaluation was used using the 4 metrics, and the statistical test was used by Scott Knott and board account. So we had our data set, we input the data, we do the pre-processing, and turn the data to supervise the data for one-step forecasting. The selection model were SVR, DB, NCN, NG, area, and LSTM. We optimize them using a random search by using optimization and particle swarm optimization. Then this optimized model, we had RSVR, which stands for SVR model optimized with the RS, and so on. And for the heterogeneous ensemble, we were constructed using the aggregation for the mean, median, and inverse ranked weighted mean. And we evaluated the single models and also their ensembles using the 4 performance metrics, RMSE, MIE, MMRE, and PRED. And we evaluated them using statistical tests like Scott Knott for RMSE, and all the rest with the board account. So for the results, for our first research question, the best performing single model was the PSO optimized with the GRU, which highlighted with the PGRU model. It achieved the lowest RMSE at 7.87 milligram per deciliter, and ranked top across the most metrics for RMSE, MIE, MMRE, and also the PRED. The Scott Knott of this first research question classed the PGRU in the first cluster with PGRU and RGRU. So the GRU based model are the best in the single models. We skip for the second research question. There are 2 ensemble ERME, which is an ensemble model with optimized with the random search and aggregated with the median, and also the ensemble that was optimized with PSO and merged aggregated with the median. Stood out both use the median fusion and produced the RMSE around 12.25 and the second 12.26 milligram per deciliter. They are slightly less accurate than the best single model, that was 7.87. And they offer superior robustness and consistency across patients. Like for example, if we see all the mean of our ensembles are better than the mean of the single models. And for the Scott Knott, we can see also the ERME and the EPME are the best. And when comparing ensemble vs singles, we can see the detailed metrics for all ensembles, RME and EPME, consistently outperform other RMSE, MMRE, and PRED of their singles. These results were further confirmed by both Scott Knott and board account ranking. In addressing this research question, we observed that while the best single model may offer a peak accuracy, but ensemble provide better generalization and lower variance. You can see that the mean of RMSE is 7.87. It means that the single are better, but when we compare the mean and the median, we see that ensemble are better because the max of singles are 24.69 in terms of RMSE. And this is the Scott Knott. We can see that the mean is for the single, for the models named PGRU, BGRU, and RGRU. But in the second cluster, we can see the ensemble models. This plot shows ensemble model cluster tightly in terms of performance, reflection their stability, and single models, on their other hand, display a broader variance because they are ranked also the last for RCNN and BCNN and BDBN and BCNN. All the latest model were in terms of single models. For the research question, was the clear winner. It consistently yield better performing models and ensembles. The Bayesian optimization had some success, but showed an instability, and the random search generally underperformed these results. Is highlights the PSO value in tuning complex models. So for the key finding of our research, and to summarize, the GRU-based models performed best individually for singles. The median-based ensemble offered robust prediction, and the PSO was the most effective optimization strategy, and ensembles, though slightly less accurate, delivered superior stability, an important consideration for real-world diabetes management system. So for the future work, we plan to explore adaptive ensemble methods that involve with the patient's data. We also aim to incorporate other physiological signals like insulin level and activity data. Eventually, we hope to integrate this forecasting framework into closed-loop system, such as artificial pancreas device. So, thank you for your attention. I would be happy to answer any question you may have.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
No? Okay, so I can ask you, are your findings in line with the related work?
Yes. Generally, ensemble have a stability in instead of singles.
So it's like similar strategies or like ensemble methods perform similar results also in the literature, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is there a discussion about this in the paper? Probably yes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So thank you so much.
There is another question.
Sorry. Please continue.
There is another question?
No. No questions. I thought you were saying something. You were adding a new discussion about the findings, but I guess not. So. Thank you so much. We can continue with our next presentation, generating local rules in fuzzy rule-based classification systems. Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello everyone, my name is Marwa Lajmi and I'm going to present our work titled Generating Local Rules in Fuzzy Rule-Based Classification System. I am a PhD student and this work is with my PhD, which is under joint supervision with the University of Tunis El Manar, Tunisia, and the University of Caen-Normandie in France. So I am going with an introduction of the context of our work. Then I will present the background of fuzzy rule-based classification systems and a particular system called CIFRA. After that, I will present our contribution called local fuzzy rules, and we finish with the results and the conclusions. So fuzzy rule-based classification systems are supervised learning techniques that uses rules to classify objects. It combines the strength of fuzzy logic and rule-based models. It can handle uncertainty and imprecision in data and offer interpretable and transparent decision-making processes. So the aim of our work is to improve these systems and to enhance their accuracy and interpretability, and also reduce the complexity of these systems. So let me explain the fuzzy logic. In fact, in fuzzy logic, to say whether the temperature is high or is cool or hot, the answer must be yes or no. However, fuzzy logic works differently. In fact, the temperature can be slightly cool or almost hot. So it takes a degree between 0 and 1. For example, the temperature here between 20 and 25 can be warm and cool at the same time. It belongs to the class warm with a degree of 0.2 and to the class cool with a degree of 0.75. So these degrees are called membership degrees and reflect the appertaining of a point to a class. And these triangles right here are membership functions. So a fuzzy rule is written as follows. So if the temperature is moderately cool and slightly warm, then we can have a picnic. So the advantages of fuzzy logic is that their interpretability and linguistic modeling, and also it makes systems more comprehensive and more natural. So since fuzzy rule-based classification systems are supervised learning technique, in fact, a supervised learning model consists of two phases, the learning phase and the classification phase. So supervised learning uses dataset which is labeled dataset, which means that the classes are known before. And during the learning phase, it defines a classification method that is going to be used during the classification phase to classify a new object. And FRBCS, so they have the exact same phases, a learning phase and a classification phase. And during the learning phase, it starts with a fuzzification to transform numerical data into fuzzified data. After that, the classifier here is an ensemble of fuzzy rules. And during the classification system, so the system uses these rules to classify a new object. Now I'm going to explain how these rules are generated in these systems. The system starts with the fuzzification of the input variables. They are divided into a number of fuzzy intervals defined by the membership functions. So the membership function here can be triangular, trapezoidal, or even Gaussian membership function. So once the attributes are divided into a number of fuzzy intervals or into a number of partitions also, we can generate fuzzy rules. One of the well-known methods is the fuzzy grid in the literature. So it consists of dividing the attributes right here, for example, for two attributes x1 and x2, each one partitioned into 5 partitions. We can derive a rule in each cell of the grid. For example, here this rule R21 belongs to the second partition of the attribute x1 and the first partition of the attribute x2. It's written as follows. So if x1 and x2 is a2 and x2 is a1, so the class is y21 with cf, which is the certainty factor, and reflects how much the class, how much the premise is related to the class. So since fuzzy rules are calculated with their certainty factor, in order to calculate the certainty factor, we have to calculate first the compatibility degree, which indicates how well each class's objects satisfy the rule's premise conditions. So if we have two classes in the dataset, so we have to define two beta. Each one belongs to one class, so it is the sum of the examples in this class of the products of their membership degrees multiplied together. And then, in order to calculate the certainty factor, it uses the maximum beta, which belongs to the maximum class, and uses this formula to generate a degree, which is the certainty factor, and reflects how much and which reflects how much the conclusion is certain. So at the end of the learning phase, we have a fuzzy rule base called SR. And later, this fuzzy rule base is going to be used in the classification. One of the well-known methods of classification is the single winner rule method. For a new example to classify, the method calculates a product which called alpha for each class, and it's in order to calculate that, we calculate the membership degrees of the example multiplied by each CF or of each rule of the SR rule base, and we take the maximum rule. So the conclusion will be the maximum class, which means the conclusion of the maximum rule, and this product reflects the compatibility of the rule with the object to be classified. In this system, the number of rules is calculated using the fuzzy partition and the number of attributes. For example, if you have 6 attributes, each one partitioned into 4 partitions, so the number of rules will be 4 to the power of 6, so it will be 4096, which is a very high number. So a large number of attributes in this system leads to an explosion in the number of fuzzy rules, which is a problem in these systems. So there are many methods in the literature that were proposed to fix this problem, and one of these methods is the CIFRA method, which provides a pre-processing step before the learning phase to reduce the complexity using attributes regrouping, which is a technique based on ensemble methods. So in general, ensemble methods, they are techniques that combine different models to provide a better performance. So it can the information here can be distributed among different learners. The information can be related either to classes or to attributes, and each learner performs training based on the information assigned to it. The results are then combined to predict the class of a new example, and the CIFRA method relies on attributes regrouping. So the architecture of the CIFRA approach, it has the attributes regrouping, which consists of dividing the learning set into packages, and each package is treated separately during the learning phase to generate fuzzy rules. Then the fuzzy rules are combined together, and they are going to be used in the classification phase. Now I am going to explain in details the attributes regrouping steps of CIFRA, because they are the inspiration of our contribution. So the main steps are the frequent item set mining, which consists of searching the frequent attributes that appears together in the dataset, and after that they determine the related attributes based on this frequency determined here. And at the end, there is a selection of final groups of attributes. So to generate frequent item set mining, CIFRA uses the algorithm a priori, which uses datasets that are Boolean. For example, here we have the attribute x1 appears 4 times in each instance in this dataset. However, x2 appears 2 times. So through this dataset, we can calculate the support of each attribute. For example, here x1 has a support of 1 because it appears 4 times among 4 instances, and x4 here appears 2 times among 4 instances, so the support will be 0.5. And the algorithm create item set from size 1 to size n, which is the maximum number of attributes, like in here. And we can fix a threshold on this support to say whether the item set are frequent or not. For example, if we have the minimum support 0.6, we can see that only these item sets are frequent. So this is the idea of frequent item set mining. After that, once the item sets are detected frequent, Sierra method create an association grid. Here we have the intervals of attributes. Each one is divided into intervals, and it uses a priori to detect which intervals appears together frequently. So in this association grid, we can calculate the weight of the region, which is W. It's the support of the supported instances by both intervals in this grid. And the association degree of the group of attributes is a global perspective on associations based on aggregating the support values of these shaded regions. So the association degree of a group of attributes is calculated by the sum of all the regions, of all weights of regions multiplied by a value Rij, which equals 1 if the regions are linked, otherwise it's 0. And attributes are considered associated based on a threshold for the association degree and the number of regions. So here's an example on how this step really works. So let's take the example of the IRS dataset with 4 attributes, SL, SW, PL, and PW, each one partitioned into 3 intervals. First, the method search for all item sets corresponding to the attribute SL and PW. These item sets, for example, let's consider that we found 3 frequent item sets here, which belongs to SL1, PW1, SL2, PW2, and SL2, PW3. So each frequent item set corresponds to a linked region of this association grid, and the association degree between SL and PW is calculated with with the support of these regions. For example, if the support here was 0.3, so it would be 0.3 multiplied by 1, and the others are multiplied by 0 because they are not frequent. And finally, this value reflects the degree of association between these 2 attributes. After defining the related attributes or the associated attributes in CIFRA, it has a selection step which consists in forming a partition, which means they remove intersections between groups and select groups of attributes that have a high beta value, which means a high association degree value, and a larger number of attributes. So CIFRA has some limits. In fact, it takes into account the number of linked regions and their density. So not all the linked attributes are used to generate the fuzzy rules in the learning phase of the fuzzy rule-based classification system. So the linkage between 2 attributes of 2 intervals of 2 attributes does not necessarily imply a linkage between the 2 attributes in CIFRA. For example, these attributes can have very few linked regions, like in here between x5 and x4, we only have 1 region, or the amount of data in these regions, for example, these 2 intervals, is significantly lower compared to the total amount of data. So here we propose a new contribution, which consists of creating rules in each frequent region or in each linked region. Because these regions are linked, so they are more informative, and rules can be more powerful in these regions. So our algorithm consists of applying the a priori method to find associated intervals. Once we detect the associated intervals, we are going to create a rule in the fuzzy grid, which corresponds exactly to the same interval found found frequent by a priori. And we call it our method the local rules base. And after that, we apply the same classification protocol like fuzzy rule-based classification systems that I explained before. So in order to explain more our contribution, in fact, I'm going to compare it with CIFRA. Let's take the example of 4 attributes, x1 and x2, that have 3 linked regions between them, and x4 and x5 that have 1 linked regions between them. CIFRA, during the attributes regrouping method, only takes into consideration x1 and x2 during the creation of fuzzy rules in the fuzzy system. So it generates in the fuzzy grid in each cell a fuzzy rule between x1 and x2. However, in our method, we only take these regions into account, and we do not select only x1 and x2 because they are frequent. We also select x4 and x5 because they have an interesting here region between them. And we only generate in the fuzzy grid the corresponding fuzzy rules that correspond to the same intervals found before. And here, the main difference is that we do not generate fuzzy rules in all the fuzzy grid. We only generate it in these related regions, and we obtain the local rule base, and CIFRA obtains the global rule base. And also, later, we propose it to combine these rule bases to see the impact of the rules that were not generated by CIFRA on the classification. So for the test, we chose 7 data sets from UCI library of Weka, which have a different number of attributes and different number of classes. For the evaluation, we use the 10-fold cross-validation. And as indicator of performance, we use the classification rate and the number of rules. So overall, our method the local rules gives better results than the CIFRA method for the 6 database among the 7 database. Also, for example, here we have a significant amelioration with our local rule base. For example, here CIFRA it's 58. However, we are at 67 for Hardstat log. Also, when we combined both rules, we found that in some cases, the classification rates are better than CIFRA and better than local rules, which means that rules that were not generated in CIFRA can enhance the system. And also for the number of rules, our method generate rules which are higher than CIFRA in most cases, except for diabetes and wine. And this is because we take into consideration all frequent regions between attributes. So we have more fuzzy rules later in the fuzzy rule-based classification system. However, this number of rules is still good compared to classical fuzzy rule-based classification systems. So in conclusion, we proposed a new method to improve the generation of fuzzy rules in fuzzy rule-based classification systems inspired by the CIFRA method. And we propose a generation of local rules extracted from the related intervals of attributes. And the results are improved with local rules. And as perspective, we want to reduce the number of rules, also perform tests with more high-dimensional databases, and try our approach with other approaches like feature selection. So this work was achieved thanks to the financial support of PHCUT project, which is called Paprika. It's a partnership of the French Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs and the Tunisian Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any questions? No? Can you go a few slides back to the findings with different data sets? Okay, so I'm going to ask you, you achieved relatively lower results with the last one. So do you have any insights about why it could have been like this?
Just yes, in the last one, in fact, it's a data set with more attributes, and our approach right now doesn't work really well on high-dimensional databases. That's why, in the perspective, we wanted to improve it to be to work well on high dimensional data sets.
So that's part of future work.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we can continue with a new presentation which is added to our session. Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so the presentation is called Psychological Impact of. It's true, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
like,
yes.
okay. Psychological impact of personal protective equipment in distant thermal environments. This presentation is from session 9G from tomorrow's presentations.
Yes.
So we transferred it to this session.
Because it should, yes. Because the one of the authors will leave today.
Oh, okay.
So
And luckily we have enough time also for one more
yes,
presentation.
and
Yes,
we
that's
have
perfect,
asked
yeah.
to Osvaldo. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, if Osvaldo says it's okay, it's
It was
perfectly
an
fine for me.
invasion. It was an invasion of this session. And thank you.
There are 4 presentations. Usually we have 5, so why not? It makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Was this your suggestion to move to this station or Osvaldo arranged it?
It took another one, but
Yes.
Ah.
we saw it this one and we did this.
Except me,
Yes.
in a general.
Yeah. Because there are very few sessions with 4 presentations.
Yes.
So limited options, that's why I asked.
I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you can present.
I don't know if they hear me. They hear me.
If you speak a little bit closer to the.
Can you hear us?
If it.
So we can sit here. It's better because it's so.
Yeah. The sound.
The sound is better.
Yes, I think so.
We can turn around like this, no? A little bit like this, no?
So just a moment.
Yeah, just see. You can ask if they are.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
There's no one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that.
At least one of them.
So you are presenting to us.
Yeah, I presented to you.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Finally.
Okay. Hello, my name is Rui. I'm colonel from the Portuguese Army, and we are presenting with Paulo Simões that is here, and Nuno Almeida is not here. We are from the Center of Research, the military, from the Military Academy in Lisbon, and we are working with the CBRN military personnel. So we want to talk about the impact of the personal protective equipment on the military. Maybe this one? Yes. Okay, so we measure some parameters from this study. I'm going to talk about it. We want to see which impacts of this protective equipment give us to the military, because they face a hazard environment inside of the equipment, because this equipment it's completely sealed, so nothing goes out from there, even the temperature. So it's only goes up the temperature inside these suits, and so this limitation of the suit is the time they wear it. But since we don't have contact with them because they act in contaminated environment, they are far away from the commander post, so they are very far, and we need to monitorize them to see when they need to go out or when they need to change with the other ones. Also, this purpose of this study is there's two purposes: to find the best protocol to study this impact, and even to evaluate the team when we are select them, or when they have a stroke event, a heat stroke event, and we need to put them on the job again, and we need to evaluate them. So for this, we need to have a protocol that can give us the information if they are ready or not. And the second objective of this study is to find a prediction of the core temperature, because the core temperature is the key point of this, and we need to find an algorithm that can give us this core temperature, the prediction of the core temperature. Because in this study we use the temperature pills that they eat, they drink. So we monitorize all the time the core temperature because of their safety here. We need to assure them when they are doing this protocol, they don't get to upper 39 degrees. Because in the suits, when they go upper this 38.5 to 39, it's dangerous because we cannot, there's a possibility of not coming back the temperature. So we need to monitorize all the time the core temperature of them. So we use the military academy cadets. Why? Because if we want to study to know the protocol for select guys for this job, we need to work with the guys that are not used to these suits. Because if we go to do protocols in the military that are normally used with this suit, the selection will be different. So we did this to guys that are not used to wear these suits, for us to have the real feeling and the real parameters, the changes of the parameters. So what we did a protocol of 30 minutes inside the chamber, where we put a normal temperature about 18 degrees. That's a normal temperature in Portugal, because we are doing this for Portugal, okay? And we put a high temperature of 27 degrees, more or less. And they did two exercises. One exercise was this one, that they need to grab 5 kilos from the ground, put it 1 meter, then go to the ground, walk 3 meters to the side, and then go put again. And like this, they did it for 4 minutes, then rest 1 minute, and then they do a step exercise, normal step exercise, with a predefined time of going up and going down, and then 1 minute rest, and they repeat this for 30 minutes. So here we compare the two exercises, which exercise give us better information, and in which temperature give us better information. So the parameters we analyzed was two physiological parameters, like temperature core temperature, skin temperature, and heart rate. And then we also use the perception of the thermal perception indicators, like the thermal sensation, thermal comfort, perception of skin moisture, if they are feeling wet or not, because this is related with the dehydration, because when they are losing too much water, it's a risk. And then the rate of perceived exertion. This rate, it's when they classified if the exercise was too hard or not too hard. We need to include this. It's a reconnaissance team. So what they do, it's not high physical exercise. When they are acting, they are doing like discontamination, or they are reconnaissance if which kind of contamination is on the field. So the work is more or less like going pick something, going upstairs, downstairs, or walking on the field. So it's not a very high exercise. So we use the statistics to give us the credibility of the parameters that we have. So we need this to see if there's significance or not on the results, and which one give us better results for us to study. So regarding the core temperature, it was nice. It was a little not as we expected, because we didn't have the results were not significantly different between them on the high temperature or low temperature. It's a normal upper ascent of the two temperatures. Of course, in the end, the high temperature goes upper, but this is normal because the temperature is high, so it's normal that the core temperature goes up. But we didn't have any difference, any significant difference between exercise 1 and exercise 2 in the both temperatures. Here, it shows that the core temperature is not, and we know that it's not a good indicator for us to feel, because the core temperature is what we want to know. So it's not this one. We know that heart rate and skin temperature are the parameters that the highest significance for us. So, and we also work here. We also try to find if there are any sex difference between in the team, if the women or men, if they have differences on the, because biological they are different. So we know that the temperature, internal temperature of the women can be higher, and so if there are any difference here, the median in the core temperature, we had significant increases according to sex in the exercise 1 in ambient temperature, but not in high temperature. We think that in high temperature is normal that the temperature goes until the limit. So it's normal that we didn't have significant differences between them, but in normal temperature it's a funny result, because we had this difference between men and women on this one, and it shows because of the biological, it's normal, because when we start, the temperatures are already different between men and women. So here we have a difference between them. The skin temperature. So here we start to have different results. So we have significant difference over the time for exercise 1 in skin temperature, and also significant difference on the exercise 2, but only like in core temperature in ambient temperature. So the skin temperature, they were different, but on the high temperature we didn't have it, this difference. So what this shows is that if we want to pick parameters to define this protocol and to act and to keep this parameter, the skin temperature is a good parameter for us for monitoring these guys. Okay, because we know that the temperature is going to be high, but in the high temperatures, because we already did some field tests, the high temperature goes, the skin temperature goes until a temperature that then gets stable. But that's why in ambient temperature it goes high, and we have difference between them. In sex difference, there is significant sex difference. There were on exercise 1 we didn't have it, but we had it on exercise 2 and for high temperature between them. So we had significant difference for women and men. This is important because we need to know if we need to have the same protocol for men and women, and if we have to have the same algorithm for men and women. That's the key point here. The heart rate. It's normal that goes with the temperature. As the temperature is high, the heart rate starts to beat more. It's a normal. But here we see that we had also the median of heart rate was significantly different across time in high temperature. This is the algorithms that predict the core temperature based all all of the algorithms that exist. There are not so many, maybe two, the American and I think the whole, not German, but now it's British, it's the Netherlands. They work with the heart rate and with the American with the skin temperature. But this heart rate, it goes up. We know that, and we know it's good to have this result that it was significantly different sometimes in high temperature, because that's what we expected to see, and we see it. So the heart rate continues to be a good parameter for evaluate these kind of protocols. And according to the sex difference, there is no significant sex difference founded on both exercise and on temperature. Now, this is the part of perceived exertion. So we are talking about the perceptions. It's good because we need these indicators because of the heat tolerance. One of the things that we need to select them is if they have tolerance or not to the heat. Because if you don't have tolerance to the heat, you cannot be inside the suits. We try to know if which levels they go in this perception. So the rate of perceived exertion goes to what we wanted, that this exercise, it's not a physical strain hard protocol, and it's a moderated protocol. That's a good result, because that's what we want to validate this protocol. And then the thermal comfort, thermal sensation, and skin moisture, it comes with the normal, that the thermal comfort goes down through the time because they feel not so comfort, and the thermal sensation and skin moisture goes up around the time. So this what we have in this part, and it's the normal and the good. It's a good result for validate this protocol. In terms of sex difference in the perception, we see that the men in ambient temperature, they don't feel, they feel less comfortable than women. So women are more tolerant to the heat than men. They control better inside of heat temperatures, and in this part of the perception. It's good when we talk about this. For us military, it's good for the commander to choose if it's too hot or too cold, who we should put inside the suits, the men or the women. Because of this perception, it's good, because the perception creates a motivation or not to continue the mission. And in high temperature, this discrepancy between sex and thermal perceptions were smaller compared to the ambient conditions. So here, when we are in higher temperatures, it's normal that all of them feel bad. So we don't have this difference between them. Okay. So, in conclusion, the study confirms statistically that the protective, the personal protective equipment uses exacerbated thermal strain. That's one of the objectives, the goals that we wanted to see. We have some specific difference between the physiological responses to the both exercise, but we noticed that the exercise number 2, it's better to characterize this exercise and the indicators, physiological indicators. So we need to see which protocol, if we need to change it or not. That's what one thing that we need to see. And the protocol's validity as an assessment tool for the CBRN team is supported by this one. So we one of the things that we saw, it's maybe we need to put a little more physical exercise there, for the core temperature goes a little high. Or we need to put more temperature instead of 27, maybe 30 or 31, but it's always a risk. We had some limitations. As you imagine, to do this work inside of chamber is not so easy because we need to monitorize them. And if you eat a pill and then something goes wrong, you need to wait for 48 hours for the pill to go out, to put another pill. And this is very complicated to do. So we need to increase the number of the subjects. And what I was saying, that the parameters physiological was too slight, so we need to have to change something in the protocol to have induce more pronounced effects. And for future, what we are now working is to refine the protocol, do an expansion of the sample size to consolidate the algorithm and develop a robust tool. This is the part that we need to create a short and a specific heat tolerance tables for military, because this is a thing that several countries working, and we still don't have these parameters for entering and for after a heat stroke, when it can enter or not in the duty, the return to duty decision. So this is what we have. Some bibliography, and thank you very much. I don't know if you have any questions. Yeah. Tell me.
First, like how you got the samples of people that agree to the experiment? How they accept to be in the experiment?
How they accept it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all in the military person, I guess they have to.
You want which answer do you want? No. First, okay. No. They for them it's okay. We are military. We do dangerous things. Okay, but this it's not dangerous because you need to we are monitoring them all the time, because the critical part here is the core temperature. Okay, we cannot let them go the core temperature upper than our cutting point was 38.5.
Well, it's safe.
So it's safe. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, you divide men and women because
We studied both of them.
yeah, don't you think the age also affects, for example, heart rate or something?
Yeah. But they were. That's why we went to the military academy, because they're all almost the same age.
Yeah, but the real experiments of the nutrition, that when you need to do it to some people who they are working on real life.
But the starting heart rate, when you do an algorithm in this physiological part, you start with an heart rate. You know that for ages of 30, you started with 60 heart rate. If you started with 40s, you go to 58 or 59 heart rate. So, and that's why we want to know the increase of the heart rate with the heat. That's what we do. If the heat is more heat, more heart rate. So, at this relation, it's the algorithm works with this. And also the algorithm, when you have what we are working, it's the algorithm. It's like the digital twin. Now we are working on this also. That this is in international projects that we are working to find the digital twin. So for an algorithm to work with the individual, he starts to learn how he works, and then he knows that this person is this guy. So his reaction to the heat is like this. And when it gets to a critical phase, we need to stop it. So this is ongoing studies. There are 3 countries that are working on this, and it's not so easy because you need to put them like.
How many samples?
Yes, I was gonna ask you
How
the
many? How
sample
many?
size of
No,
yeah.
it's few. Now
Like how many?
we are 10 guys. It was 10.
10
5,
in
5.
total? I have 5, maybe 5 people.
5. And even to do this with this 5, because you need to do in normal temperature, higher temperature, and you need to do it not once.
2 exercise types.
Yeah, and then we took like 1 month to do this for these guys. And imagine that you are going to the room and something happened and the temperature is not a high temperature. Okay. And
you have to repeat some.
Yeah, but the problem is that when you do this, for instance, they do 24 hours before, they need to do the hydration protocol.
Yes.
So they did the hydration protocol, they need to drink an amount of water, a huge amount of water, 24 hours before. So it's safety. And then you need to program this because you need to say, okay, tomorrow you are going to do this. So you start the protocol now, and then you start the hydration. And then you need to take the pill 2 hours before of the exercise because the pill needs to go in and to go to the digestion. So to have the core temperature not here in the stomach or so it's not so easy. And then when you enter, if something fails, stop, and we need to do it 48 hours after.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can take it. The presentation is.
We need the laptop for the planning.
We need to do it like 28 hours, never less than